Hello everyone, we are doing the behind the camera thing again because I'm still just needing to play catch up, and also as a reminder, I am still sporting the Astrid War Wound. With all that out of the way, I just got Revenge of the Fallen Scout Class Brakedown, also known as Brakedown. I don't know which one is the correct spelling. It'll be the title of the video, or at least the one that's on the box will be the title of the video. But yes, I just got Revenge of the Fallen Scout Class Brakedown today. And I wanted to make a video on him because of one specific thing in robot mode, so we will get to that really quickly. But first, let's look at this car mode, which is sort of, kind of vaguely, just a little bit like Breakdown's more standard style car mode. It's got kind of a similar look to it. It is missing some blue around the bottom and the edges, but it does have the telltale red hood and the Decepticon logo. But the main thing that kind of makes this car look different from standard Breakdown is it's very cartoony. Like the proportions just make it look kind of squished in and puffed out. I don't hate it, it's just a little bit odd. Maybe they're homaging the G1 mini-bots, like specifically Cliffjumper and Bumblebee and all those, who are meant to be like a kind of cartoony looking chibi penny racers. It just kind of has that vibe to it, you know? But what we do have here is very nicely painted, including the red hood. You also have the kind of bluish metallic headlights. Very, very light blue. It might even just be silver, and it might just be my lighting that makes it look blue. The fender section is just in black. And of course, the black for the windows, which they actually painted all of them, which is really nice. But then they also have this gunmetal that they did for the venting in the back of the car, and little details on the sides of the windows. And of course, on the back, you've got the Decepticon logo, the other Decepticon logo, and the tail lights painted, and yeah, there's some really nice paint on this guy. The only thing is I think it would do like, it does evoke Breakdown looking at it right now, but I think it would evoke Breakdown even more if they did that blue trim along the front fender and kind of along the sides too, and maybe brought that in here. Though there is a lot of blue that we'll see in the robot mode, so I think it still works. It gets the point across. And it is a Scout class figure, so it's actually rather small. It is just noise o'clock right now. Okay, let me back this up so you can kind of see everything a little bit better. And yeah, there you can see that, you know, like I said, Scout class, so somewhat on the small side. Though, bring this back down and in. While small, not quite as small as the Magic Square version of Breakdown, which I never really realized until seeing the two of these side by side, but this is actually more of a gray color. It always struck me as more of a white, but yeah, it is very much like a light gray compared to the bright white on Breakdown. And here you can see more of what I was talking about with the blue trim that I mentioned, how it would have been nice to see that here. I still think it's fine, but yeah, it would have been nice. But there is that. Oh, honey, I'm sorry. Are you okay? She whacked her head right in my leg. I mean, she's purring and doesn't seem to notice at all. I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point, but yeah, it's a Scout class figure, so it's not particularly big. Alright, now to transform Breakdown. Actually, I'm going to raise the camera a little bit, just so that I don't have to worry about things going off the camera. So, to transform, use the Scout class figure, so it's pretty simple. You just pull the sides out to disconnect the arms, and then pull these out, but you kind of want to tilt them down this way, otherwise they'll catch on the back of the car section here. So kind of pull those out and then tilt them down just a little bit, and that should get them enough clearance to come around and hinge out like that. There we go. So that, then this section plugs in behind the hood, so I just pop that out. You can see where the tabs are, and swing this whole section down. And when you swing this down, there is a little tab here that'll plug in there. So swing that down, and that will tab in, and then this blue section will swing back here and plug in back here, and it'll kind of click in place. Then split the hood, which will become the legs, and now counter to what you might think, you actually rotate the legs so that the hood points inward. Then you angle these pieces back and fold down the toes. And same deal here, angle that back, fold back, fold down the toes, and there you've got legs. Up here, you want to push just this section up. You can see this little line here. You want to push this up, and it will pop up just a little bit. And I'll give you just enough room to swing this around so that it settles just over the back of the car. Then you can pull this section down, and that will disconnect it from here. Pull that down, and that will just settle along the back. It doesn't really go anywhere. I might as well rotate the arms down while we're here and disconnect the arms so they unplug from up here, and they don't really tab in down here, but there's like a little bit of plastic down here that can catch if you're not careful. And you don't really want to pull out. I find it's best to kind of tilt up. So tilt up and pull out, and then that'll pop out. You can see there's just this little, it's like a little lip on that tab. It's hard to show, but there's a little lip on the tab, so that's why you want to pull up. So again, pull up and pop out. There we go. And lastly, for the head, there's this little piece here that you can pull out, and it's very scary because it's very clicky and it just doesn't feel good, and I hate it. And I just don't know why it has to be like this, because I feel like I'm flexing the ball peg in the neck trying to bring this down, but this does click into place here. It's just very kind of, I don't like it. That's transformed them a few times and things seem to be holding up just fine, but that's just worrying. And yeah, there is Brakedown in his robot mode, but also not exactly, because this is what I really wanted to do the video for, because there's this joint on this figure that I don't see mentioned in any of the videos that I've looked up. Granted, I haven't spent an exhaustive amount of time looking stuff up, but I've watched like several videos on this thing. I've looked it up on TFW, I've tried doing Google searches, and I just cannot find anything talking about this joint, and it bugs me because I don't know what it's for. I don't know if it's just something you use for the transformation and then put everything back and that's it, or if it's actually something you're supposed to do for the robot mode to change the look of the robot mode at all. But what it is this torso section here, which the arms are actually connected to it. This is on a slider, so you actually can pull it out. Just a little bit, but it does pull out. You can see how it pulls out and slides in. You want it in like this for the car mode, because that's how the car mode fits together. So if you pull it out, it just adds a little bit more dimension to the front of the body, makes this come out a little bit more, but it also makes the arms stick out so that they're not really lined up with the head anymore. So you can kind of angle them back, which works. But I don't know, I just don't understand what this joint is for. It doesn't rotate up or down. It doesn't like do anything else. It just slides in or out. I don't know. And I'm hoping by making this video, someone who actually knows what the deal is with this can tell me. Seriously though, if anyone watching this knows, tell me. Is it for transformation? Is it just to bulk out the robot chest? Because it looks weird from a lot of angles, but it does kind of work from like more of a straight on and kind of side or, you know, angled view. Just when you start looking at it from the top, it looks weird. I just wish more people talked about that joint. Anyway, here is Brakedown's robot mode, and it's interesting. It's a little bit lanky, but it is a live-action Bayverse toy. These things generally are kind of weird. And I appreciate that, actually. I do like how different this is compared to a lot of stuff that we've been getting lately. As I've said many times, I'm just kind of sick of G1 over and over again. So giving me something that is meant to evoke G1, but is also clearly its own thing, I'm totally fine with that. Yes, the arms are a little bit long, and it is a little bit monstrous looking, but I think that's fine. That does not bother me at all. I really wish we'd bring that back, you know? I mean, I know we can't go back to the plastic and build stuff that they did with these kinds of toys back in, what, like 2010 or whenever this was, but I wish we went back to these kinds of designs where they just decided, hey, this character wasn't in the movie, so let's design them as though they were in the movie and make it weird. I miss this. Anyway, aside from the weird proportions, which I actually think are fine, the robot mode does look pretty good. There's definitely a lot of blue revealed in this mode too, like the arms, the head, some of the waist and the legs, the lower legs anyway. So the breakup is pretty nice, and it does kind of do the whole Brakedown evocative thing, mostly because you've got the white and the blue, and then you have the blue head with the red face, which we'll look at in more detail in a minute. But he is definitely a bit weird, and he also has this giant chunk on his back that you can't do anything else with this. And it doesn't bother me that much. I just kind of wish that there was a way for this to push in a little more. You can rotate it up, which is fine. It's for the transformation, but that doesn't help the robot mode. I just wish this could tuck in a little bit more. The rear of the car being used for a chest is definitely different, especially for Breakdown, but I think this does look good. It breaks up the color a little bit, it adds some nice paint, and really, aside from the face in this mode, you don't really get any paint. You see like a little bit of the fenders on the shoulders, and that's about it. So getting that paint and the Decepticon logo, I guess you get a little bit of paint too, right where the middle of the fender was. Now the figure did not come with any accessories as far as I know, but it's a Scout class figure. I guess they usually don't. Though Skystalker had them built in, so that was something. But this guy does not. As for the head, this is going to be tricky to show with this lighting setup. There we go. I'm holding up a piece of paper. So, as for the head, the style doesn't really look like Breakdown, especially not G1 Breakdown, but the coloring definitely does. I like the blue and red combination. For some reason, I've always liked Breakdown's blue helmet with red face combo. And the yellow eyes in this actually work pretty well. I like how they just kind of contrast the red and the blue fairly well. The blue on this guy is definitely darker than you probably expect for Breakdown, but like I said, it doesn't bother me. And because it is a movie figure, the face is way more angular and kind of alien monster looking than the cartoon, and again, I think that's fine. I actually really like how, despite the head sculpt being nothing like Breakdown, the colors really do make it work for him. Now for the articulation, as you saw when I was trying to get light on the face, the head is on a ball joint, so you get, you don't really get left and right tilt. You kind of do, but it's not great. You can look left and right, you can look up and down. The chest piece, as I mentioned, can slide in and out. The shoulders are on a couple of different joints, actually. There's a ball joint inside the torso, and then a hinge joint at the actual shoulders. So you can use the ball joint to go around, and then you can use the hinge joint to go out, and it goes out pretty far, but then this bit gets in front of the face. And then you can also use the ball joint as a makeshift butterfly joint to go backwards, which is cool. Despite this guy's size, he actually has a bicep swivel and a double jointed elbow. There's a joint here and joint here. It's normally to hinge back this way, but you can hinge the first joint forward and then the other joint forward, so you get a pretty darn deep elbow bend. And then the hands are separate black plastic, so they do stand out from the blue, and they're on ball joints, so they can wiggle in and out and then actually rotate. And that's pretty cool. Yeah, the arms are really long and lanky, but I still like that he's got that posability. You do not get any waist articulation, but the way all of this clips together, that doesn't surprise me. The hips can go forward only about that far if they're straight, but if you bring them out, they can not go any further. So yeah, they can only go up that far. You can go back. Let's see if we get this out of the way. They can go back quite far. They can go out to 90. You also get a thigh swivel. And then you get a knee that can bend past, I think this is past 90. It's hard to tell because of the shape of this guy's legs, but that's kind of the bottom of the foot. So if we look at how that measures out next to the vertical thigh or horizontal thigh, then yeah, that is a pretty decent knee bend. And then the toes you can move up and down if you want, and you can also kind of adjust these little bits back here as heels. They move forward more based on how far up the foot is. Yeah. So he's pretty posable, and you can get pretty expressive with him, which is really cool, especially given the size. Again, speaking of size, I'm going to preemptively move the camera this time. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, Scout class, so he is noticeably smaller than a typical deluxe, and way smaller than a larger than average deluxe. He is, let me readjust again. He is noticeably bigger than the Magic Square version of Breakdown, but as far as height goes, not too much taller. He's definitely taller, and definitely has more bulk to him, even though he is a bit spindly, but still bigger than, I guess, what is this, Legends? And here, seeing the two of them side by side, you can see what I mean, how the overall style and sculpting for Breakdown is, or is it Breakdown? I'm not sure, is definitely a huge departure from the more traditional cartoon style Breakdown. But the color layout is actually surprisingly close. Obviously, some liberties are being taken. I mean, look at the design. But you've got the wheels on the shoulders, you've got the blue head with a red face, like I said. The torso design, while it's not the same as the G1 design, it definitely kind of evokes a similar shape in terms of that bar going across the chest. You can see also that in the shins, you've got the blue feet, blue shins with the white legs, and you have that with Breakdown as well. Waist section isn't supposed to be blue if we're going by the G1 design, but I mean, look at this thing. That is not the G1 design. And let's do a little bit more in terms of size comparisons. I got some more movie figures. Let's show them off next to them. So yeah, here he is with Studio Series Bumblebee movie Brawn. And Brawn is definitely short for a deluxe. He's stocky. He's not, tiny, but he is short. And you can see that they're about the same height. And here he is, just again. Here he is with a deluxe from roughly around the same era. I'm pretty sure Hunt for the Decepticons came out after Revenge of the Fallen, but it's, the same general time frame in terms of what they were doing with Transformer movie designs. Also, of course, this is a deluxe. That is a Scout. And just for the heck of it, let's bring out the really tall fellow that is Revenge of the Fallen Mindwipe. I mean, it's same movie, right? So there is that. But yeah, Mindwipe is significantly taller and also not a Scout class figure. And let's bring it again. But yes, here we have Breakdown again with another standard-ish size comparison. And I don't know what else to say. He's a Scout class robot. So that is going to do it for Revenge of the Fallen Scout class Breakdown, or Breakdown, whichever you prefer. And I definitely have some qualms with this guy, not the least of which is the fact that he doesn't really look that great when you look at him from the top, especially with this section pushed forward. But I've started collecting standalone Stunticons and other Combiner team members, and this, I don't know, it fits with what I'm doing. I can make room on my shelf for Prime's version of Dead End, which is just a toxic repaint of the Wheeljack mold, which incidentally, fantastic figure, and I love it in these ridiculous colors, but that's beside the point. What I'm trying to say is, if I can make room on the shelf for that weirdo, I can absolutely make room on the shelf for this weirdo, and I'm happy to do it, because this is a neat toy. He's not a mind-blowing piece of design and engineering like Skystalker is, but he's cool for what he is, and he's also surprisingly posable. And I do think he looks neat, as weird as he is. But that's enough about what I think. What do you all think of Revenge of the Fallen Breakdown, or Breakdown? Call him whatever you want. Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you everybody for watching, and remember, art is more than meets the eye.